Both FaZe and Team oNe no longer need to worry about qualifying for the Copa Elite 6, as both teams' places are statistically guaranteed. But this match has its own attraction. This will be the 6th time the teams will face off in 2021. A number of conflicts that, by the way, have created a certain rivalry.
Acho que não cria uma rivalidade assim maior, acho que é muito brincadeira mesmo. O alemão gosta bastante da gente, o alemão curte bastante também nossa organização, né? Bastante fã da FaZe Clan. A gente leva tudo na brincadeira, claro que algumas farpinhas ali às vezes apimenta um pouco, mas tudo tranquilo.
It has not always been Alamo who decided to throw fuel on the flames surrounding these teams. This role was taken up by Levy, one of Team one's highlight machines this season and the MVP of the Mexico Major.
Eu acho que o último confronto contra eles foi na Elite 6, foi 7-4 pra gente. Foi um jogo muito fácil pra gente, porque a gente sabia tudo que eles iam fazer. Eles não mudaram nada, impuseram o ritmo de jogo deles e a gente só chegou, acabou com eles e comemorou a vitória.
O último jogo nosso contra a oNe foi um jogo ali bem pegado, a gente já esperava esse mapa litoral, que é o mapa que a gente enfrentou eles no Invitational. Felizmente pra nós, eles se adaptaram melhor ali, eles tiveram leituras melhores e se prepararam melhor pra esse jogo, pra esse mapa, e garantiram o resultado que foi diferente do Invitational, né, que foi quando a gente ganhou deles lá no último confronto.
As FaZe's coach remembered well, before their series in the second Copa Elite 6, the team had a very disputed match in the group stage of SI. However, in stage 2 of the Brazil division, the 3 points were snatched up by Team oNe, who overcame FaZe 7-3, showing that the winning and the losing sides can and have changed sides easily. For today's confrontation, however, the expectations are somewhere different.
O jogo de hoje contra a FaZe não vai ser tão diferente, eles vão mudar na line, então acho que o estilo de jogo deles não vai mudar nada. Eles não sabem o segredo pra ganhar, então acho que vai ser um jogo bem fácil.
Acho que vai ser um jogo pegado, vai ser um jogo bom pros dois lados, como sempre é com eles. Seja um jogo bom e vamos dar nosso melhor pra garantir essa vitória aí.
Is a new rivalry taking form in the Brazilian scene? Will Levy's confidence help Team oNe take home another victory, or will Ramelos avenge their defeat in the Copa Elite 6? There's only one way to find out, coming up next in the match between Team oNe and FaZe Clan.
Welcome back to live coverage of the BR6 Friday night, joined by Gio and Ollie here as we head towards our third match of Playday number 7 here. And this is the one that I think many people have been waiting for. These are two teams that are right up the top of the standings for stage number 3. Two teams, Gio, that seem to, at this point, locked up their spot at the LATAM League finals. This isn't 100% guaranteed, and I don't want to be the person who floats around in the Twitch clips being like, oh, he's the one who said it, but we are expecting that these two will probably make an appearance at the Copa Elite 6.
I think if Team oNe and FaZe Clan did not show up at the Copa Elite 6, we'd be very surprised. I think FaZe Clan are already locked in, if I'm not mistaken, but Team oNe have still got to get themselves in. If they perform like they did last week, they're going to be totally fine. If they perform like they did in Mexico, they're going to be totally fine. I think regardless, they're going to be totally fine. So we know that this is a game of two very heavy hitters. FaZe Clan had a lot of problems in stage 2. They just needed to clean themselves up. They've picked themselves up. They've come in really strong this stage. Team oNe obviously looking fantastic. I genuinely don't know who is the favorite in this game, and I think that's what makes it so exciting.
It's really tough to say, particularly when you look at the results from last week. Last week we had FaZe beating Ninjas in Pajamas 7-4. Okay, so a pretty good result for them there. But then on the other side of things, Team oNe went 7-1 against Santos, but 8-7 against MIBR. So a little bit of feast and famine, a little bit very hot and well, not hot and cold, but I guess hot and warm, Ollie, maybe with these two, because those two results were about as far away from each other as it's possible to get.
Yeah, they really were. And I think there was a little bit of a surprise, honestly, in terms of how that first game went. I don't think they were expecting MIBR to sort of give that much of a fight. But it was a really close game. It was one of the first games that we'd actually seen on a map that's been reintroduced into the pool, which is Bank.
Well, speaking of maps, let's have a look, Ollie, at what we're going to see here when we head into our third match. We can look at the map bans and see where this one is going to be played. Clubhouse, the first ban. Chalet also going. Talk us through what we're seeing here, Ollie.
Well, I mean, with both of these teams being qualified into Copa Elite 6, there could be an argument to say, let's not show anything, let's not give anything away. With the way that these bans are going, we've got an Oregon left or a Bank, so we will actually be going back to Bank here.
Back to Bank.
That's a decision that FaZe are making. So could be a sort of scenario that where FaZe are like, well, you know what, we're not planning on playing a lot of Bank come Copa Elite 6. We're going to be, you know, just leaning into maps that we know. Or they could be saying, no, you know what, we want to prove that we're the best. We want to beat everyone. We don't really care what's coming up. We're not trying to hide anything. We're going to go to Bank. We haven't seen FaZe play this map yet. Whereas we have seen Team One play it. We mentioned that earlier on. They played it against MIBR. And they've also played it against Ints as well. Obviously, they got the win over MIBR narrowly. They did get the win over Ints as well. It was a little bit more of a clear-cut affair. But in terms of FaZe, I'm relatively surprised to see them on this map. I think it's probably a strange time for them bringing it out. And it's sort of, I question their motive behind it, I think.
Well, Gio, you very accurately predicted what we were going to see in the last round, where we saw Fantasy just absolutely go to 10 and pants the opposition there. What are we going to see this time as we head to Bank between these two players? It's tough to call a favorite, but what are your expectations?
I mean, I guess I'm just going to have to say Alamau on Nook. I want to see it again. I want to see it work against FaZe and see if they can get past them.
All right, well, looks like we're ready to get stuck in, so let's head down to Bank here. These two titans of the BR6 getting stuck in. Team One versus FaZe. Who will it be? We'll find out with Gio and Ollie.
Thank you, Riley. We're ready for our third game. We are going to be headed to Bank. We do have Team One and FaZe. Wasn't expecting to end up here for this matchup. FaZe may have done their homework, and it seems like they have. You guys have just come out of the fly-through, but you were greeted by a Nook ban and an R from Gio, which can only mean one thing. FaZe, they have said, yep, we are here for a reason, and we know how you like to play it.
They saw that game. They're like, absolutely not.
No, sir. Not today, Mr. Alamau. For anyone that's wondering what we're referencing here, Alamau was a big problem on the Nook in the MIBR game, and without it, there's an argument to say, would Team One have won at all, with it being an 8-7? Something that Alamau put to extremely good use. One thing that has done, Gio, and it's a conversation that we've had a couple of times now, is it frees up one of those attacker bans, which is usually reserved for a Thatcher and a Hibana on this map. Now that the Hibana is available and the Cade is banned, are we just going to see another no basement Bank?
Quite possibly. You know, even when, the second game that we saw on Bank last week, and I'm so sorry, I don't remember actually who was playing on it, just off the top of my head, but we did see the bans go in a way that would lead us to believe that we would see more basement, and I don't think we did. You know, I think that the basement still seems to be a contentious one, but this would certainly lead me to believe that basement's not going to be a very popular pick for the defenders, just because the ease with which teams will be able to actually access the site itself is going to be significantly raised.
Yeah, the bans for Team One have changed a little bit since last week when they played the basement. They typically like to ban the Thatcher and the Cade, and if the opposing team bans the Thatcher, they'll ban the Jackal. So it was really only ever going to be on FaZe as to whether they removed the Hibana or not. But FaZe are a team that are happy to go for that direct counter. And that's one of the things that I really love about the interviews that we get, Gio, is that the teams are just so honest in like, well, we knew that they were going to do this, or yeah, well, we knew we were going to play there because they played it last week, and so we just countered it and decided to play in there. And they're just so happy to say, like, when something has worked out for them, and when they've actually been able to get that counter play off. So I anticipate FaZe to be coming in here with a full knowledge of how Team One's games last week went on this map, and multiple ideas on how they want to try and deal with it.
I mean, I'm just really excited because of this fact that we haven't seen FaZe Clan play on this map just yet. So FaZe have always had this really creative, borderline crazy way of doing things. I want to know if that's something that they're going to be sticking to on Bank, or if they're going to play a little bit more standard. It doesn't look here like they've got anything lined up that's all too crazy. One thing that Team One did really well when they played against MIBR was just being able to get in at times where they went unnoticed by MIBR. So I want FaZe Clan to remain vigilant. I think that if they just let it slip even slightly, Team One will get in through those cracks, and it'll be very hard for FaZe Clan to be able to pull that back.
A lot of Team One's set plays were really good, and you mentioned there about players getting in undetected. In some instances, that was people that were actually trying to get the plant down. That was Levy, you know, when he was hopping in through the rappel, and that's very similar to the same setup that we're looking to see now. Nade will come through onto Souls. There was a bit of information onto him. Cyber gets chunked down as well, and KDS is actually going to finish Bullet off with a grenade. Mirror there will fall. FaZe need a response for the pressure that's coming in on the windows. They're not able to get down into the main lobby to challenge directly onto it, but there's currently 3 players from Team 1 that are going to be on this rappel. Last week, we saw Levy more than happy to just hop himself on in and try and get the plant down. This time, there's a little bit more consideration going, especially into what's going on in and around Janitor. Alamau, he's able to take down Souls as he moves on through, but will be traded. Cameraman comes in there pretty clutch. Plant is going to start to be attempted. Astro shuts Levy down. The diffuse is now going to be cold, and the toxic bait canisters are going to be cutting off any further access, but kills continue to come in here for Team 1. KDS and Neskin find one apiece. 45 seconds left to play. Cameraman, the narrow shot to land. He goes for the shotgun, but will fall. Neskin able to pre-fire on through, and I mean, it was a narrow angle for Cameraman. It was a narrow angle for Neskin. He's threaded the eye of a needle there. Team 1, not exactly in the same fashion as we saw last week, but there's a lot of similarities to be drawn.
They're looking very comfortable. They're looking good, but I think the FaZe Clan will probably need a couple of rounds to just kind of get into the swing of it anyway. Obviously, they will have been scrimming this map. It's not like this is the first time they've touched the map in however many years, but it's different when you're in the actual environment. Now, Ollie, interesting thing here. We were discussing, are these teams going to be put off of going down into the basement because of the ban situation? But it looks like FaZe Clan are going to be going down there.
It certainly does. Now, some of the reasons why you may not want to go down to the basement include the fact that there is a Hibana. There is also other hard breach available, which doesn't really start to become too much of a problem. Obviously, Maverick's a thing, but you're really looking toward that Hibana for the hatches. There isn't Cade. That has been removed by Team 1. So you've not really got any significant way of holding on to those hatches. And as such, the setup that we're seeing from FaZe is going to be a fairly extended one. Souls actually opened one of the hatches open himself in open area. And I'm sure that the other hatches are going to get opened as well. It does leave you very vulnerable. Your roam has to be successful. There are no real options for this now not to work. But a lot of setup has gone in ahead of it. So Team 1 need to be cautious of that. But they've essentially just got a full map clear to do.
Gonna take some time. Thanks, a pretty chunky map.
It is.
This was one of the things as well that we spoke about before with this map, particularly when you're going on these clears, is that because it's so big, if you lose someone who's over doing some kind of roam clear, you can't really shift your resources about to make up for that. So there have been times where roamers have been left out and about because an attacking team can't justify going and sending an extra person to deal with them. It's a problem that that MIBR had playing against Team 1 quite a bit last week, actually, and that's how Alamau was able to get a lot of stuff done. He would kill off this one roam clearer, and they wouldn't send anyone else to deal with it. So it could be different on Team 1's side. Bullet being able to get that kill right before that nade hit him, that was really nice. That becomes a meaningful trade straight up from that.
That might be one of the best kills we've seen so far this stage, just for how much it meant in terms of making sure that you were traded. Obviously removing KDS, a player that's already popped off in round number 1. Bullet doing his job there. Half the round has now gone. Don't forget, when these hatches are left open, there's not really too much that's guaranteed about the setup. You know, you don't really know what you're going to be dealing with when you do start to try and push these players out like Astro. So there's a mirror window there. Yeah, we've seen mirror played there before, but you don't know that that's going to be the case. So it really does slow down that information gathering. And the hatch being open is pretty much a mute point from here on out because FaZe can use them themselves to make drops. Now, we have seen Alamau make his way into that elevator area. Cameraman just on the other side of the wall is going to be the first to fall, but the trade comes in. Souls, ever consistent. He's going to be able to find that as a 1-for-1. So, 3 versus 3, 45 seconds. Hatch is now open, which isn't too much of a problem, but still, Team 1 have to try and get on in there. They have to try and make a plant work here.
Oh, straight into server. That was a unfortunate misjudgment, but Cyber ready with the trade. Something FaZe Clan have been doing pretty well today, I will say, so far in this game. He eventually gets taken down, at least Soul's on his own, and it's not too much work for Team 1 to get rid of him. So Team 1 taking their second round, but I can't say that it was as fast as maybe we would have expected, given the Hibana and Kaid situation.
Yeah, I think that the roam worked really well, and the fact that that came down to a 3 versus 3, and the first kill that comes after that is in the servers, and it goes toward FaZe, it's a little bit of a problem that FaZe lose that, in all honesty. I think that's one that they'll really look back and maybe kick themselves over, because Rome was successful. They did a great job of wasting a lot of time, but they just weren't able to clutch when it really mattered in those dying few stages. There's an argument to say they could have wasted more time, and there's an argument to say they maybe should have just threatened a little bit more on that roam, as well as waste the time. Maybe just try and soak up a little bit more of that utility and a little bit more of that time. But so far, they're struggling for a round. In 1, 2 rounds to 0. Already looking like a pretty well accomplished team on bank, regardless of side. As this is, you know, them being in the lead is a trend that we've seen on this map so far across the week.
Yeah, they are doing pretty well. FaZe Clan moving over to open area. Looks like they're going for an extension, which doesn't really surprise me at all. But you look at something like the Alibi, the Castle combined together, they're looking to extend. And to be honest, by all means, the roam on that last round, as we discussed, went pretty well. So why shouldn't they want to do it going forward? And I think with this kind of a site anyway, so much of mitigating an attacker presence on this site will involve just preventing them from reaching the site in the first place. There's only really one place you really need to breach onto this site. And of course, because it's a relatively big site, it's very open. You don't really want everybody just turtling in on it because you just give so much room and so much access to the attackers around it. And FaZe Clan did really well for the trades in that last round. It was when we got more towards the end of the round and they just didn't have enough to hold Team 1 back. I think they need a slightly stronger mid-round here. Maybe turn some of those trades into net kills for them, and that could change that momentum.
Another thing about the Hibana being available is that you get that long line of sight open as well from the main lobby rappel all the way through. You can either open up down and bottom of elevators and the bottom of main stairs, or you can open up the top of elevators and the top of those main stairs. Cameraman, outside of the garage. An old school peak, if ever you've seen one. But he does know that there's a player out there on the rappel, but with the instant indicator, it's going to be very difficult to do anything about that in terms of a run out. Mainly just trying to give Levy something to think about, I would imagine. Team 1 have a fairly slow approach, all things considered here. But this is a trademark of how they like to play bank. You tend to take their time, and without the ability to send Alamau in undetected, it can be very difficult for them to try and make anything happen. There is control now that started to be gained inside of Archives and Tellers. Neskin, he's the first to fall. Cyber drops the hatch and gets himself away. Manages to move through that rotation as well, but Lagonis is able to open up the wall on into sight. So with the increasing pressure on this north side, now maybe time for FaZe to turn their heads.
Going under the castle barricade. Can't quite see any angles to snap at just yet. Lagonis trying to get a really tight angle onto it. There's one down, another one. There's going to be KDS, but the nade again. We've got these trades constantly coming out, and there was a kill after death, a posthumous kill for KDS, so that's a nice one. Levy just trying to flash out, doing his due diligence, knowing that Cyber's just behind the door. Maybe Team 1 can overwhelm FaZe here, but there's only 10 seconds left.
Not a lot of time for Team 1 to do anything, really. Lagonis is going to find one before being shut down. Alamal picks up another. 3 seconds left on the clock, and Astro has woken up. He arrived at the party, and he did enough to keep Team 1 from planting that diffuser. We can see it cold on the ground there in the final kill cam in the hands of Lagonis. Unable to move on through. Found one, but wasn't able to pick the second up. I think it's a very well-deserved round for FaZe. They certainly could be 2-1 themselves now, had that basement gone any better. But instead, they're taking it back up onto that top floor. I tell you what, Gio, teams need to come up with something that helps them deal with that pressure on the rappel, because Team 1 are just too good at attacking this site.
Oh, they are. They are.
I hope I eat my
exceptionally
words. I hope that there's something that comes out now that FaZe bring where I just eat my words. But I honestly, I don't know what you do to target that north rappel.
Just... Yeah, that's my suggestion. Just... Dot.
Hope they go for a CEO take. Hope they go for a square stairs take.
Like, I guess you could use a castle and just be like, no windows for you. But that's not going to be an option.
It's just very effective, I think. And the Team 1, they tend to tick every box in doing so. They'll have somebody inside of that main lobby. They'll have someone at the main door. And
well, that's the thing as well, right? It's like when you've got other attackers down there, it's hard to go for like a run out.
yeah.
Where are you going to do it from? How are you going to guarantee your own safety? You can't.
Maybe you get vertical angles from below, like open up the bottom of the window, just underneath the window, and play downstairs in archives and towers.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, don't forget, we've seen this so many times now that we've had a long time to think about it. So we should really have an answer.
It's true. Because, of course, we are coaches.
Exactly. We're professionals.
Well, we'll see if FaZe Clan can actually do all that much against it. Hey, what do you know? There's some windows breaking.
I'm out on the entry as well. That's... Even on the Twitch, he's pretty deadly. He's not at the same level of impact this time. He's only 3-3, but still, you just get a little bit worried for any straggler on FaZe. You don't want to be the sort of weak link that's lagging behind.
On all of their cameras, it's just so quiet. You can tell they're just waiting to see what's going to happen. The X-Kairos pellets have been put out, so that's going to give them some idea. I'm out again, playing downstairs. You'd end up catching someone out from behind.
One of the quietest games of rounds of Siege, I say, that I've ever
is.
seen. Like, it's eerily quiet. I think it speaks to Bank being quite a big map. And as if by magic we get a mute bug. That's just brilliant. Honestly, that is really like the
Adds
cherry.
to the suspense, dude.
It's the cherry on the cake. We've just been saying how it's a quiet round, and now we can't hear anything anyway. But KDS, he's picked up a couple of kills inside of this round. Very short-lived. Fortunately, a drone did get shot, so that was just a bit of a bullet there, and we can get ready for this final minute as an execute. Bullet gets downed in process as he's hopping on over. Another kill that's going to go unresponded here. Souls sitting at the top of elevators. Astro, he's just had the kitchen sink thrown at him, but he's not in a position to try and move on out. And as such, the plant will likely go down. But no, Astro, he makes it land. He takes down Lagonis. There's still a long time to try and hold off for. And Souls, you're going to have to start landing shots shortly. Astro will be taken out on the drop. Souls, not long after, the previously downed player in Bullet falls as well. A quick, sharp execute from Team 1.
So I guess they didn't find out a way to effectively deal with it. And because it was so quiet for so long as well, you could tell FaZe Clan, they were watching all of these different potential avenues of ingress. Could they be coming in through here? Could they be coming in through here? And there was just no information to hand off. And again, they didn't have anyone really placed downstairs. So when Alaman's downstairs and he's playing around down there, who is there to deal with him? No one.
Tough round, really, for FaZe, as you just get the feeling that it's very difficult, because typically attacking teams will attack the defense that's set up, and defenders can more than often set the pace. But when there's windows that lead directly into sight, it's very difficult then as a defender to orchestrate that how those attackers are going to play, because they're going to target the windows. It's the path of least resistance. So FaZe need to set up in that instance for whatever attack is coming their way. And that's just not something that we're really seeing them do. Obviously, it's going to be very difficult to deal with. And as such, we've switched off and we're back downstairs in the basement. This was a round that could have been a success for FaZe had they just been able to win out that 3 versus 3. They did a really good job on the roam, but it was really at the end of the round where things started to fall apart. Now, this time they've actually gone for a bit more of a reinforced approach. They've reinforced a couple of those hatches instead of leaving them soft. And I kind of worry, because it's just going to give even more time over toward Team 1.
Yeah, it's an interesting one as well, just given the fact they brought Oryx. I heard he doesn't do that well with reinforced hatches.
No, I think it'd probably be a little bit of a problem, that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so I'm very intrigued to see where Bullet's going to be playing that. It could be that he's playing upstairs instead, and they've left some hatches open there. But I can't see a silhouette. I guess we'll find out. We'll find out at some point. But it is somewhat antithetical to the idea that they're trying to go for here. Who knows? You can tell that FaZe Clan really do want to be leaning into the idea of a roam, though. Soul's playing very close up on the blue stairs. You can see he's being pinged out as well. Trying to get some information there. Cyber has managed to take one of the drones, and we did get a look of where Bullet is there as well. So he's actually over in the vault itself.
Nerves of steel from Souls there. I think a lot of people would have panic sprayed onto that Iana clone, but
Oh yeah.
playing this in a very unusual manner. Doesn't have the shield. Instead, just trying to hold it off with barbed wire, and the ADSs are actually placed quite deep. That's going to be a little bit difficult to deal with as well. A C4 flies up from Cameraman, but it's shot out before it can be detonated. He's really investing in holding on to that server. A lot of information going either way here. Soul's still poised, ready to strike. He's got a Toxic Wave pre-placed, but Cameraman lands the shot onto Neskin. Cameraman actually the player with the deployable shield inside of the server, so nice little position that he finds himself in there. Bullet takes out Lagonis, the nade does come through. How does Cameraman keep himself alive there? Takes half damage, another kill here from Cyber. Very well could be a flawless. Strange to see, given the circumstances that we're in, and the fact that Team Ward have just solely focused on that server hatch when really they didn't need to. They could have gone for other options. Finally, KDS picks up a kill. With only 18 seconds left, it's looking like it could be a little bit too late. Levy, approaching through the garage, has the option to move on through into sight, but the diffuser now being called on main stairs is the final nail in the coffin of this round. Levy may find a couple of impactless frags here if FaZe give themselves up, but ultimately it's a round that goes to FaZe.
There we go. That's nice. That's some improvement. I think if you can just make it really hard for Team 1 to have the opportunities to move forward like they did in that round, then that's probably going to be a decent win condition for you. So they can move forward into the open area, which FaZe actually did win last time as well. So this could be an opportunity for them to even things out of the half. Maybe not, like maybe it will change. I'm not sure. The Hibana and the Thermite both going to be employed here.
There's a very good chance that this goes 3-3. Which then again...
It really could.
It starts to then again raise another interesting question in terms of how have Team 1 not been able to take more advantage of that basement. You know, they've won upstairs twice, which is fair enough. We know that they've got a nice little pocket strat for that. But that last round, attacking into the basement, that was like classic Team C problem, Team Funnel on problem. Like, they just could have gone any number of other ways, and it would have gone a lot better for them.
I'm curious to see what Team 1 do here, because I think, yeah, that's one of the things that kind of works against them, right? Is if you waste their time enough and you really take them to the wire on that, then it's really difficult for them to be able to actually get the execute in the way that they want. Whereas if you give Team 1 space, you give them some opening engagements, they have so much room and so much time to just do with what they want. I think that's why FaZe, they really like these roam ideas that they're going for, because you can just rub that time down. It makes Team 1 seem far less scary.
Souls has been chunked down pretty significantly there. A little bit of a pre-fire. Just getting caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. Shouldn't be too concerned. He'll be, no doubt, finding a corner of the site to sit in, ensuring that his cameras are pointed in the right direction, and loading that out, getting himself set up, ready to go. Cameraman with the extension into tellers. Astro's a really big player in the previous round. He pretty much stayed inside of open area and was able to win a couple of really crucial engagements there. Again, a lot of players that Team 1 need to try and root out. Down to the X-Kairos going off. We know that the angle is going to be getting open, but this time it's predicted. Levy is actually chunked. Takes a lot of damage there. He's ready now in case anybody does try to swing, and he can almost hold cameraman in the elevator. It's a difficult shot to hit, but can certainly put a couple of warning shots down that way.
Well, we got to the halfway point and everyone's still alive. It was a bit weird. Not sure I like that. And hold on to the long angle down through this breached opening with the Hibana pellet. Gemini is going to be seeking out some of those players. You can see cameraman, as you mentioned, isn't too far away. It's just some patience that's got to be exhibited here by Team 1. Problem is, if you're cameraman, you're kind of stuck. If you see someone, you have to get that kill, otherwise you're going to be taken down, and you can't exactly move out of your position because of where Levy is holding to.
Not an ideal spot for cameraman to be in, really, but he's still a problem that needs to be dealt with, and as the time runs on, you can see Levy now forced into making that rotation. First blood has been found. That one now shuts down Cyber, and the vertical angles can start to be opened up here. Astro being given yet another thing to think about. The site is stacked with players in four phase. The breach won't be successful. Impact trick in onto the wall. That's significantly going to slow things down now. Bullet, did he get that mute jammer placed in time? Unsure if it'll matter or not. KDS has found the kill on Souls as more kills do start to fly on through. Astro gets caught flat-footed there. Looks as though he's pretending to be one of his clones. Neskin picks up the final kill. Cameraman did make it out of the elevators and he did find a kill, but it didn't matter. Everything else had already fallen down around his teammates' ears. And we see Team 1 end that first phase 4 rounds to 2.
I think part of the reason why he was able to get out is because by that point, everyone from Team 1 had convened to actually execute onto the site. So he just played it patient there and managed to get out eventually. But as you say, it wasn't quite enough. And Alamal being quite, just all in that final engagement certainly helped and took a lot of those players in FaZe Clan by surprise. They went in very aggressively. Exactly what you would expect from Alamal. Now, Team 1, who are going to be on the defense now, having a look at what they're bringing. So, the bandits, very kind of classic and old school for this site. Curious with the Warden, since I guess there's a bit of smoke that's being brought. Not a ton, but I guess Team 1 expecting them to maybe, I don't know, go in for a smoke plant, something like that. You do, of course, also have the shield. So they're going to be playing with 3 shields, which is quite a hefty number.
I think there's a chance that we see Warden be a little bit more popular as well, given how effective stuns are now. Maybe that's something that players are starting to factor into the Warden pick. We'll have to see if it has a significant use inside of this round, or if it is just something that Levy and the team have opted to do. But again, three shields. Really gives them something to play from. Now, which team is better prepared here? Because it already looks as though Team 1 know exactly where FaZe are going to be coming in. Alamau is hidden in the corner there and has taken a freebie onto Bullet. KDS has been droned out and taken out by Astro. Both of these teams had ideas of where specific entry was going to be made. Both of them have attempted to counter, and both of them have paid the price. FaZe have lost Bullet. KDS has been lost off Team 1.
Pretty brutal. Angles can be held down through the floor, however. I suppose one thing that you can say about KDS going down is, again, you know, Bandit's one of those operators who you use his utility very early. You don't need to touch it. I mean, when Thatcher has been banned, you don't need to touch it. Because you're not going to try and do any juggling to Bandit trick. So, as far as utility loss, could be worse if you're Team 1. You know, if it had been Lagonis who'd been taken down, yeah, that's a bit of a serious.
Yeah, for sure. And I think FaZe have maybe felt the blow there, given that both of the grenades have been lost now as well. It's going to make it even more difficult to try and push these players out. Lagonis, great vertical angle there. Immediately ready if he gets pushed inside of Janitor. Souls on the rappel along with Astro now, trying to recreate some of those successes we saw Team 1 have. It's so far, by far and away, the most popular way to attack onto this side. Get onto the rappel and try and really force the players out. But you've not got anything else going for you. The rappel alone is not always enough. 50 seconds left and still information to be gathered here for FaZe. Astro able to move through, pings out the shield and the man behind it. Cameraman could make a rotation. It's going to be either spiral or main stairs. Neither one is easier than the other at the moment. Levy going to be stunned out, being caught outside of his glasses, and Cameraman's going to punish him for it. Soul Plant is now starting to go down as two players for Team 1 make that rotation back up onto site. But Lagonis has been forced on out, and the plan will be successful. Toxic Babe Canister is going to cut off any sort of rotation back into the site briefly. Neskin, the Souls is going to be holding from inside along with Cameraman. Nobody at the moment has got themselves outside onto the rappel. Lagonis tempted for a jump out. Neskin looking to try and assess the scene and see if there's anything that he can do. Gets a glimpse and a couple of tracer rounds fired on in. But FaZe Clan are making great use of some of the utility that has been set up here by the defenders, and Lagonis is going to get chunked down for it. Gets a visual onto the diffuser, but Souls is there to shut him down. Alamau with the jump out, but it's too little too late. Still a 2 versus 1, effectively 2 versus 1 now, but we are way past 7 seconds. FaZe have managed to secure this round number 7. Great plant and a great post.
And they did make use of the smokes, and the fact that Levy was down did not help with Team 1's predicament that they were in there, because they didn't have access to that Warden who would have been able to help them through it. And yeah, great post plant, as you say. Positions so good to just not hand themselves over to Team 1. One thing that actually I feel like I should have mentioned at the start that we didn't talk about that much is this choice to take the 0. Right? It's given them so much more information. And think of the way that FaZe Clan were playing on their defense. They had those yokais. They had the Mozzie, and they were actually taking a number of the drones off of Team 1. They were relying on the visual information so much. So you bring a 0, that actually makes perfect sense. There's all these extra cameras with your Arguses. You can use them to know where the the movements of Team 1 are going to be. They know that Team 1 like to send players, particularly someone like Alamau, out and about and go on these routes that can't be tracked by teams, especially once they've lost a player or two. So FaZe Clan have had that information available to them purely through choosing to bring the 0 alongside everyone else as well. And actually, this choice to bring Jackal too is extremely interesting because it's kind of along the same line, right? It's going to be so hard for Team One to get past FaZe Clan and worm their way out of their knowledge because FaZe Clan are tracking every single part of this map.
It's a really good point you bring up. I like it. I think it explains the deep information that FaZe are able to get, and what I mean by that is they're actually able to get through the site. We saw a couple of times firing the Argus cams in through toward Janitor, and it really provided them everything that they needed. So Team One falling foul of that same site that they too are so good at. Another really nice change was that we didn't see everyone from FaZe jump out onto the rappel straight away, because that would have been too predictable, and you would have got a player like Alamau deal with that. So it was a very well considered post, but they've got a bit of a ways to go. They still lag behind by 1 round. We are seeing a site change. We're seeing open area this time be chosen by Team One, looking to maintain that lead here, and not give another chance over toward the attackers on that top floor. It's probably not going to be a long time, Gio, until we just don't see that top floor played by the defenders, because
I know.
we just haven't seen it. I can't remember a defending side that have actually won up there yet. But you know, maybe
Just holding on to the past.
they really are. But then again, if the defending teams can't win basement and they can't win top floor, then you know they're not left with that many options.
Yeah, they've got to go with something at some point, I guess. Well, they don't have to worry about it in this round at the very least. Cyber just looking down the hallway. Oh, Lagonis. You might find yourself a little bit surrounded here, my dude. The nade's going to be coming in. He was getting the shotgun ready. It's actually KDS to get the first kill, and Lagonis seems to have just avoided fate for now.
Has everyone on the side of FaZe just forgotten that Lagonis exists? Or do they just think, now there can't be anybody possibly in there? They really would have given themselves away, but I don't know. The patient game that Lagonis is playing now is proving very valuable. Astro, you're crazy. That hole has literally just been open for a C4, and he's just going to hop on straight through. Does manage to juke the C4 out eventually. Can he land any significant shots here? A little bit of rubble getting in his way, just a little bit, but kills do start to come in. And they do come in for FaZe. It levels things out. Cameraman picks up one onto KDS as well. It isn't pretty. It's pretty scrappy, if anything, but 2 versus 2. Lagonis, the next to be traded. Everything going as a 1-for-1 here. And Alamau left in the disadvantaged situation. 2 versus 1. Now a 1v1. Alamau, you can never count him out here. The diffuser has been recovered. But Alamau's going to wait. He maybe has some info, but oh no, the Inox from the Jackal. It's going to be huge. Alamau's going to get caught out here. The plant could very well go down. It's at least being baited. The plant will be attempted again. That is the last ping from the Jackal. Obviously, Cyber still knows roughly where he's going to be coming in from, but is it the other side of the wall? It is planted on the other side. The plant is now successful. Cyber, is he going to aggress onto this? Pre-fires a little bit, but doesn't want to get too overly aggressive. The onus really is on Alamau to make something happen. The C4 comes in. Alamau pops up his head. Who lands first? It's Cyber! He hits his shots and secures the round.
Oh, I was actually holding my breath. It's just the constant backwards and forwards around the wall. The C4 comes out. He wants to open the line of sight, but you still don't actually know where Cyber is. Oh my god. Clearly that choice to bring the Jackal as well was a good one. Even if just for that ending.
Just for that, you know,
yeah. Just so he knew Alamau was far away enough that he could get in with the plant. And then just the little do-si-do around the wall.
It was a really good 1v1 from Cyber for that exact reason. The fact that he tracked Alamau was the entire reason, because Alamau is one of the best players in a clutch. Like, he is unflappable. But if you know where he is, if you've got an Inox ping on him, he can't do anything. And that's demonstrated right there. You know, Alamau pushes in. Oh, guess what? Cyber comes off the plant. Alamau doesn't push in. Guess what? Cyber plants. Like, there is no way of winning that. And you've got to give yourself every advantage you can, especially when you're up against someone like Alamau. Don't forget, last week, he got one of the best clutches we've ever seen, Gio, with the Deagle. So he really is a player that you can't count out, and it's not often that you see him lose his ones like that, especially considering that it was a 1 versus 2 he was in to begin with, and he made it the 1v1. Alamau is a very accomplished player when it comes to the clutch, but so is Cyber. And for that reason, we are now leveled at 4 rounds apiece.
Oh my god, this is the game that we thought the last game was going to be. Evidently. I mean, nah, I think to be fair, we did assume that this was going to be a close game. But given that the half ended at a 4-2, we didn't know if it was something the FaZe clan were going to be able to pull themselves back from. But the answer so far has been yes. They've had a really great insight in the way that Team One like to play, how to apply pressure onto them. And even if it hasn't worked in every single round, you can still see the way they're thinking about it.
That was a very impressive shot from Bullet. We got to see a little bit of that engagement from the other side. We saw Alamar put in some shots in onto Bullet, but Bullet just hit him with the immediate repeat, and it was quite a distance as well. A very impressive opening kill there. If there's anyone you want to take down, it's always going to be one of the fraggers, whether it's Alamar or KDS. Both of them are usually pulling their weight in one way or another. Lagonis, next player to be downed. Cameraman, he's gotten away with that one. He's going to drop himself off that rappel. There's a likelihood here that Levy's going to be in a position to pick him up, and it looks as though that's what's happening now, but more advantages going FaZe's way. Now, this top floor, we've seen it trend consistently toward the attackers. And with the advantages already that you've got FaZe got, you're going to be hard pushed to see this one going any other way.
And a good idea of where they've placed all these cameras, how they've been using them pretty effectively against Team One as well. I mean, with Alamau gone anyway, how much of a risk are those flanks going to be? Not that he's the only one who used them, but he was kind of the main character in the story of the flanking. Toxic Babe canister to be released. Lagonis has 2 left. He's certainly not that stingy with his Toxic Babe canisters. When he feels he needs to use them, he's going to use them. He doesn't hold on to them for too long. And while that can be risky at some points, like bringing out his second one now, it can also be really effective because FaZe Clan, they've got to try and push up this corridor, and it's something that currently isn't that much of an option for them.
Vertical pressure going to come in now from Cyber. He's cooking a nade to throw up vertically, and it will land beautifully. Lagonis gets taken out of the picture, but not before Neskin takes down Cameraman. Now, the diffuser is going to be in the hands of Souls. Cyber still looking to make an impact on this lower level. Levy using the Warden glasses to see through the smoke. The plant going down here. It will be being covered from below, but KDS takes down Bullet. Now, the plant will be successful here. It seems... No, it gets cut off at the... Sorry, it did go down successfully. Excuse me, I saw the explosion and thought it had gotten cut off there, but it has gone down successfully for FaZe. So a 3 versus 3 now, but Neskin still proving a little bit of a menace on that roam. Managed to pick Souls up through the rotation. We still have Astro on the rappel. Cyber, you've got to land your shots on somebody. He's going to be getting pinched down here, but... ultimately, the kills are going to be cleaned up nonetheless. Pistol in the hands of the Sledge now. Going to make that last job nice and straightforward. As we do see FaZe take that round. And we do see quite a lead generated.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just having a look here because Team One, they haven't taken a single defensive round so far. Just having a look at when they were on defense against MIBR. Again, every single round in that game seemed to alternate. So it was a 3-3 at the half. You go into overtime. How did they do? So they were defending. They got both of their defensive rounds when they were against MIBR. So this is actually a bit of a shift then here, I suppose, for Team One in this game, who seem to just be, I think, struggling against a FaZe clan who have very seriously studied the way they like to play. Whereas when it was against MIBR, they were figuring each other out. They were adapting on the fly. FaZe Clan have come into this game having already figured out those adaptations.
FaZe have really done the homework here, I think. You're right. And that's certainly starting to show. It's probably pretty safe to say that Bank's fairly attacker-sided at the moment, as everything that we see is typically an advantage for the attackers. And it's really on the defense to try and come up with something. And so far, FaZe are looking pretty unstoppable. Those 2 rounds that they were able to get on the defense are starting to become more and more valuable as the rounds trickle on by. We do see Alamau on the Oryx this time. We've already seen him pop himself up 1 hatch. Wonder if we will get the hero play that we all long to see out of that operator. If there's anyone that's going to do it, Gio, it's probably Alamau.
I'm down for it. It was a curious pick when FaZe Clan went for it. It was Bullet who was playing on it before. And then they, you know, reinforced all of their hatches. And he was actually playing it down in the site itself. I'm not sure how much I believe that Alamau will be in the site. Yeah, he's absolutely not. He's up on the top floor. Cameraman does get the opening kill, though. That's onto KDS, who has been the victim of a number of these opening kills. But again, you know, it's your Vigil. You expect him to be the opening kill. You haven't lost anything super valuable. His job is to be that roamer. Sometimes you win those engagements, sometimes you don't. It could be worse.
It's a very valuable ping that Cyber got there. He was able to get the ping onto Alamau, but it's in fact forced Alamau into an even better situation. He managed to drop away and pick up the kill onto Cameraman. Cyber is able to get a couple of people on the Inox tracker, but as they rotate back down onto site, the value of that information becomes a little bit less. Kills have been traded back and forth here, and both teams sit with 4 players left alive. Been a good performance so far from FaZe in terms of how equally spread their contribution is. You look across the board and everyone's pulling in a very similar direction. No one's really standing out head and shoulders above the rest. It's a trend that we've seen from FaZe this stage, as they've been a very consistent side in terms of that, very rarely relying on those hero plays. But they have to come up with something here if they want to try and get this plant down. Now, the wall being left soft is, of course, very risky indeed, especially if you're going to try an exothermic. But Souls will get away with that one and can start trying to bait out this plant. Smoke really going to do quite a bit there to cover off any lines of sight. And the plant will start to go down. Now, there are yokai drones in play. There are going to be C4s available as well. It's going to be a baiting game. Alamau picks the kill over onto Astro, but Bullet trades instantly back onto Lagonis. So still 3 versus 3. The trades have been so consistent here, and they will continue to come on in. But in and amongst the chaos, Souls confirms the plant. Not quite sure how he's been allowed to get that one down, but he's going to be very happy and retreat back upstairs. Hasn't got a great deal of health to be working with, but can use the angle through the hatch onto the doorway and really try and assist him further. You'd hope that there's a couple of drones up as well. They're going to call out players like Neskin, who are potentially going to cause him a little bit of a problem. From Souls' body language, it's unsure if he knows that he's going to be there, and from the fact that he's just been taken out, you can guarantee that he didn't. Now, both players are actually looking to try and roam and retake onto this. 10 seconds left, so there could still be enough time here. Alamau, he got onto the diffuser in the nick of time. He had around 2 seconds there, which in Siege is an eternity. You can see there around 2:28 remaining as the round finishes, but a successful retake there from Team 1. Gio, where were the flank cameras? Where were the drones?
So we saw one camera get placed in, what, lobby? But
oh, the Argus camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was an Argus in lobby. But aside from that, I'm not sure where the other ones got put. But where? I mean, there's 10 drones. Where are they?
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure. Given that FaZe Clan have lent so heavily into this idea of having all this information and being so camera heavy, I guess, for lack of a better term, it felt like that they were kind of lacking it there. But it almost felt a bit like a trap, right? You know, for Team 1 to have left the server wall soft, that wasn't an accident.
Yeah, for sure.
That was not an accident. So FaZe Clan, cool, it's like a honey trap. That isn't really an excuse for them to not be vigilant about what's going on elsewhere, but I suspect it's something that Team 1 were kind of hoping would play out in the way that it did.
Well, you look back at it now and you think, well, was Souls getting the plant down all part of the plan? Like, did Team 1 just let that happen knowing that they were going to retake? Obviously, that's a stretch. You know, you don't want to be letting a team get a plant down, hoping that you can retake in a 2 versus 2. Like, that's pretty...
Yeah.
It's pretty far-fetched at that point. But your mind does start to wonder, and if there's a team that are going to do something weird like that, again, Team 1 are that team. So, certainly a strange round. I think FaZe will be kicking themselves over that one for sure, especially given how much opportunity for information they had. And just some of the decisions that they made there were just a little bit questionable. But we move on to round 11, leveled up at 5 apiece. Maybe, just maybe, we see that overtime game that we've been craving so far today, Gio.
If any game today is going to go to overtime, it would have to be this one.
It felt like the first game would, honestly.
Did that drone just fall off the side? Ah!
I tell you, there's been some troubleshooting drones today.
Like the most entertaining part of Siege. Man versus drone. I love it. I love it so much. Yeah, firstly it like fell off the side here in square. And it's like bouncing around, going up against people trying to shoot the drones. I mean, it's a good ammo sink. If you want your enemy... Look, if you want to actually beat someone who's got a Roni, just fire them with drones. They'll shoot them all, and then they won't have anything left.
Ooh, Alamar there getting just brushed by the grenade. And finished off by the second. Information seemingly on point here for FaZe. Kind of ironic, but I'm sure that they will take it. Alamar player that, whether he knows it or not, is really being focused. Especially in terms of that opening pick. An opening pick a couple of times now, and I'm not sure that's saying that FaZe are really targeting him specifically, but doing a very good job of finishing off if they do get the opportunity. Now we see Levy fall as well, and this is one of the more significant advantages we've had, but immediately it is taken away. It takes a big swing from Astro to shut down Neskin, but the vertical's still being held by Lagonis. Bullet strolls on through, oblivious to the world and to that vertical control. Astro is going to start planting the diffuse now. He isn't actually being supported here in an engagement, a very messy one at that, will go the way of KDS. Lagonis, he's going to rotate down for the second time. Just not being pushed at all on that top floor and being allowed to do whatever the hell he likes. He's able to drop down the hatch and pick up the kill onto Astro. A strange round, but one that puts Team 1 onto a match point.
It was a strange round as well, especially just because in a lot of those engagements at the end, they felt kind of panicked. There are a lot of near misses in terms of something that I assumed was going to be a kill that didn't end up being a kill. You know, we saw the flashes on the main stairs or whatever, and it didn't seem to feel clean. I think you could sense the pressure that was happening towards the end of that round, and FaZe Clan, knowing they were running out of time, they were going to try and plant, even though they didn't have the resources or the support to kind of make that work. As you mentioned, you've got someone else just elsewhere, free to jump down wherever they want for Team 1. That felt pressurizing at the end. And now FaZe Clan are in this awful position because they were ahead for so long, and now they're not. You know, what looked like it was going to be their game, suddenly Team 1, they picked that up.
You don't win 3 back-to-back rounds and then, you know, get the impression you're going to start losing the game. But that's the situation that FaZe are in right now. They picked up 3 rounds back-to-back-to-back, and now they sit on a match point against them because they've dropped the last 2. But the only thing that they've got going for them at the moment is the site. We haven't seen defenders win this site at all yet. We're back up to that top floor. We're back onto CEO. Let's see how FaZe choose to approach this time. I'm sure that they will go for very similar to what we've seen done previously. There was a ton of pressure on that sort of initial engagement, and we had players from either side sort of predicting one another's movements. Not sure if we see FaZe get wrapped up into that again here. Going to be a little check inside of Electrical to see if Alamau is going to be playing in there, as that's where he caught Cyber out last time. But already FaZe moving with relative haste in through this middle floor.
The drone catches the drone. Well, the default cam cut. Ooh, I like using the hatch for that. And I want these Argus cams to be doing some good stuff for FaZe Clan in this round. We had a couple of questions a few rounds ago just about the efficacy of a lot of their cameras that they were utilizing. It seemed to be going really well in the first 3 rounds of this game, and then kind of wane off somewhat. In fact, you can actually see just Yeah, a couple of those players on Team 1 were looking through into the yokai drones there. So they're all having a contribution to providing information over from the resources available for Team 1. So you can tell that they are trying to be just as on the ball with watching out for what is happening everywhere. FaZe Clan need to ensure that they're matching up to that.
You can certainly feel the weight of this round, given how long FaZe are taking to really do anything. We're starting to see a bit more utility focus in and around the site. Lagonis, as is his trademark, an early Toxic Babe canister onto the breach. But FaZe still waiting for that initial opportunity. It is going to come, though, in the form of Souls onto Lagonis. Support v support there. 2 Toxic Babe canisters wasted inside of this round. Cameras now, though, that can be watched, and there's going to be another player sent to them. Alamau and Levy both join Lagonis. 2 versus 5. Make it 5 versus 1. Bullet shuts KDS down. A little bit of uncertainty whether that was a Gemini or not. You could almost see and feel the hesitation. Bullets pick up those final 2 kills. And that is going to guarantee us an overtime here. Defenders still can't win that top floor, Gio, even if it isn't a typical take.
Yeah, they just need to just stop. Stop going to the top floor. Well, they're going to be going to the middle floor. Yeah, they could always avoid the top floor. We could throw a little bit of archives and tellers in there. Bring that up. But I guess not. We'll have to wait to see if that's ever going to happen. So far in this game, it has not. FaZe Clan can breathe a sigh of relief because they've got themselves into overtime. They are not out just yet. They'll be going on the attack, which is this side that they seem to have a really good start to. And obviously overall have just done much better on their attack than they did on their defense. But their start to their attack especially was pretty good. Now, just looking at what they brought. Okay, so we got a lot of nades again. And 1 Wamai. No Jaeger. So those nades are probably going to get a decent chunk of value out of themselves. Also, when you're looking at the fact, you know, you've got this sledge or whatever, things like vertical control, that's going to be a lot easier for them if they want to be coming in from having that different-sided pressure. But Team 1 likely to be on our own. We've got the Mozzie, we've got the Malusi, we've got the Wamai, so that's all going to have to be cleared out first.
FaZe are a relatively big advantage here, given that they've got on the attack, because attack is certainly where both teams have thrived here today. As you mentioned, plenty of steps to go through, plenty of utility to clear. Alamau back onto something a little bit more predictable now on the Malusi, so things like the Oryx and other sort of slightly off-meta picks haven't really provided the value that maybe Team 1 were looking for. Something that is consistently providing value is those Argus cameras from Astro. We see him regularly getting in and amongst them, getting a couple out every single round, and sometimes saving one for a pocket. You can see there he's put one into square and he's put one into main stairs. At least that's my estimation. Sorry, main area. So he does have one left just for as and when it is required. There are quite a few knowns about this defense here from Team 1, and one of them is that Lagonis is going to be playing inside of Janitor. Cameraman knows this, and he's able to take him out. He's got a drone working ahead of him perfectly, but KDS, what a pre-fire! Sees the drone, knows he's about to be swung, and manages to land his shots. Shuts down there 1 for 1, removing a couple of nades on the side of FaZe.
Alamau taking a bunch of damage here as well. Archives is... Again, you're talking about positions that these Team 1 players like to play in. That's one of them, and Bullet absolutely knew that. Alamau pushed forward by the nade and showed himself to his adversary. Bullet's just going to try and shoot him through that soft wall surrounding the mirror window. He knows that he's being watched, though, and he's going to ensure that KDS is brought down to keep himself in survival. Levy and Neskin, the only 2 players remaining here for Team 1. They've got to try and do it all themselves. Bullet is on fire this round.
3 kills on the round for Bullet. Not all the time that we get to see that, but he's having an incredible game so far. Cyber closes things out. Again, how much information have FaZe Clan got? Every time we flick onto a POV, there are Z pings. There is something being pinged out, whether it's utility or just straight out and out, there is somebody here. We saw those last couple of kills from Bullet. He had Z pings assisting him in that. Obviously, that's not to take away from the fact that he's getting the kills. He would have, you know, in the good old days, Gio, he would have been getting the call out regardless. But the fact that that information is available for FaZe is the big thing here. And that's in part due to the way that they're playing those Argus cameras and their drone positioning. It's going to give them the advantage here inside of this overtime. And look, oh look, where we are headed. Headed downstairs into the basement. FaZe are going to try and make it work here.
Well, I mean, let's have a look. When they played on their defense before, they managed to successfully defend open area once, and they managed to successfully defend the basement once. So I guess they've, you know, at least they've picked somewhere that they can successfully defend, which is obviously not CEO, because no one can. And we also saw that 6-pick. Bullet has decided to switch off of the Oryx and onto Warden. My head kept telling me to say Wamai, and I was like, that's not Wamai. That's not Wamai. Onto Warden. Not Wamai. Now, Team 1, I suspect, will have, when they saw the operator picks, they'll know immediately that it's the basement anyway. This wasn't a 6-pick to try and hide what site they were going to. This was more a 6-pick just to hide the operator that they wanted to choose.
Yeah, I think Team 1 are going to have a reasonable idea where they're going here. They should at least expect to not be going to that top floor. See how they want to try and approach this round in particular. Certainly a big one for them. They fight against a match point. A win here for FaZe would see them win, and that would be the second overtime game that we've seen on bank out of 3 so far for Team 1. So could start to indicate a little bit of a pattern. Top floor currently being cleared. This is, of course, going to eat up quite a large portion of time. Especially given that we can see from the silhouettes that there isn't really anybody occupying this space. Instead, FaZe are going for a little bit more of a turtle defense and just looking to hold on to the staircases, into the garage, all of those really key areas. There's still work to be done in terms of getting hatches open. There's still work to be done in terms of securing flank. So far, Team 1 are moving fairly slowly.
Souls doesn't want to waste any ammo on the drone. Being very patient. There's another drone. Team 1 just trying to scope things out. Yeah, you can see it's actually the KDS, the player upstairs, who is droning, I believe, for Alamau. It could have been for someone else, but either way, he was on his drone. Gonna be deterred from pushing onto blue, so they're just gonna make their way onto the hatch. The exothermic charge being used to open that one up. That allowed them to apply pressure down into server, which is gonna make it much harder for Souls to be able to hold on to blue in the way that he has been.
I think the very fact that Souls is still there, it almost speaks that he's adopted that sort of die on your post approach. In fact, he has actually rotated himself back into that vault area now. Neskin going to be holding him from above. Cameraman playing for the drop in the vault. Is he going to get caught looking the wrong way? He's got 2 angles to be checking here. Astro, first player to fall. Alamau makes the LMG sing. KDS is cooking a nade, and it really does have Cameraman's name all over it. Cameraman gets himself out of dodge, managing to hit the prone. Souls comes in with the trade onto Neskin. Cameraman swings back, finds the kill onto KDS. 10 seconds left and the plant will start to go down. 3 versus 2 now. Alamau left desperately trying to cover as Lagonis confirms that diffuser. Still an advantage here for FaZe, but for how long? Alamau started hitting some shots, and he's been able to take down Cameraman. Bullet in with the direct trade, and Lagonis now with it all to play for. He didn't open up the wall, which is very interesting indeed. It's going to make holding this both more easy and more difficult. He has to try and take these aggressive challenges and these aggressive angles, and he will land both shots, peeking one at a time. FaZe, what are you doing inside of that one?
That's
the only way he wins that.
Listen, you said it. The wall wasn't open. They didn't need to do that. His life would have been so freaking difficult if they didn't peek.
Like, I just don't get it. I genuinely don't get it.
Like, that is one of the problems that, like... When I say old FaZe, I mean FaZe from earlier this year, not, like, actually old FaZe. Or like the Iron Live Una phase. But that is one of the problems that FaZe from stage 1 would have had. They would have just... FaZe have always had this propensity for getting aggressive or trying to make big plays when they just feel it. They just feel it inside and they just act on it like an adrenaline surge. And one thing that they've improved upon so much in stage 3 is holding that back and actually enacting some discipline. That is probably one of the few examples I can think of from this stage where they really failed to do that.
It wasn't even like Lagonis was one shot. If Lagonis had been absolutely peppered and was one shot, I would totally understand the second player swinging. I would totally, you land one bullet, you've done it. But for the wall not to be open, just hold the angle and disable the diffuser. It's easy looking at it and it's easy to sit and watch, but it's sorry to say that sitting and watching, but it really is a little bit painful. I'm so surprised that Team One even got the plant down. I think that speaks to how desperate a position they were in those dying few stages. It levels us up at 7 rounds apiece, and we are guaranteed to get our money's worth out of this one, because we're going to see every single available round. This really is the end of the line. Team 1 on the defense, FaZe on the attack. But Gio, we've gone to that top floor.
I know, which means by default FaZe Clan have won, but they're bringing a Monty. Like, they're doing something different themselves. They're going all weird and interesting.
Going all FaZe on us.
I'm not really sure how... yeah, I'm not really sure how I feel about this Monty for the top floor.
I don't think that they know they're going to the top floor. I think that's the biggest problem there.
That was what I was like.
Team One have baited. Yeah, there's been a big bait here, I think, because you've seen this top floor now and you've seen the Monty and you've gone, oh god, we've literally been played.
They're going to be the first team to ever lose an attack on CEO because of the Monty. It's just, yeah, very curious. I suspect they thought that they were going to be going down into the basement themselves. Now you just gotta lug this huge freaking shield across the lobby. It's gonna be so heavy to carry upstairs. I guess, okay, just looking at what he's doing now, what Astro is doing, they could apply some pressure to whomever is downstairs, which I'm gonna assume is Alamo. No. Is it Alamo? It is Alamo.
It's always Alamo.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Like, that's what Alamo likes to hang out. But I couldn't see the silhouette. Either way, so they are applying sufficient pressure to him, but Neskin gets Cyber. That's a pretty good kill to get, because that is some of that downstairs pressure as well, and he's providing that support for his teammates. That problem downstairs is still there, but FaZe Clan have to push up. They've got less than a minute to go.
The biggest problem here is that they've had to ignore all of that vertical. And that means now that Alamau's going to be downstairs with a C4, but not for long, as Bullet takes him on out. Now the only C4 that's left is going to be in the hands of KDS. And because Lagonis isn't playing smoke this time, the denial isn't as significant. Astro actually lands a kill on the Monty, and Souls picks one up onto Lagonis. So it looks as though they may not be the only team to lose an attack here on the top floor, as the plant is starting to go down. and it is a very tasty 4 versus 1 now as Bullet picks up the kill onto KDS. Neskin, he's got it all to do. He picks the first, but he takes a ton of damage in process. Eventually finished off there by Souls, and FaZe can say GG on that overtime win here on Bank against Team One.
It took a while. It took a while to get there. I don't think any of us are surprised that it was that the max OT game, but two very different looking halves though. It wasn't like a 3-3 on each half where everything's super even. There was definitely a favor towards the attack side for both of these teams, and to see FaZe be able to enact these adaptations based on what they had seen from Team One's game against MIBR, to me that was the most interesting part, because it just goes to show that when you really do your research, you really do your homework into how a team specifically like to play, you don't have to worry about the in-game adaptations quite so much because you will have already come in with them.
That's a big takeaway from this game, really, is the fact that FaZe have prepared for that game. I like the boldness of it. I like the fact that they didn't go, we're already qualified for Copa, we can play anywhere. They've gone, no, you know, Team One think that the hot shot's on Bank, and we want to prove that wrong. You know, we've torn through the VOD, and we've understood exactly what they've been doing over the last couple of weeks, and we want to try and counter that. And they did just exactly that here today. There was loads of really nice little small adaptive plays that they were making that were really giving them that edge there. But an overtime win, you know, max OT, it's by no means a clear indication as to, you know, did the best team win or not. Certainly FaZe, the team that won on the day and the team that really had to clutch up when it mattered. And I think that last round certainly could have gone either way. I was certainly worried when I saw the Monty, at least, put it that way. That was at least a moment where I was a little bit like, oh goodness, have they fluffed it here? But
yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
yeah, it really could have gone either way. But we'll bring Riley back in here. We'll have a further discussion and an interview with cameraman, no doubt.
Good to be back, and as you say, Ollie, we certainly got our money's worth there between these two teams. These teams, for those, of course, who have been following along, will know both X and 1 so far, both sitting at 4-1, both more or less locked up for the LATAM League finals, looking to be in their best possible shape as we head towards the Copa Elite 6. And you know, I want to come back to some of the stuff that you said there, Ollie, about this pick, especially going to Bank and what FaZe are trying to do there. Maybe this was something of a fact-finding mission for them. Maybe this was testing their limits in a match that perhaps didn't have as much on the line. This isn't a qualification match or anything else like that. And this is them trying to gather maybe some intel that they need for future matches if they're expecting to play, you know, expecting this matchup to crop up again, you know, maybe in higher stakes matches. I mean, certainly we got a hell of a match there, but you know, I wonder if that's what FaZe was doing here, attempting to maybe sound out what they might be facing.
I think possibly. I think there's a chance, in all honesty, that we don't see a lot of Bank inside of the Copa Elite 6. I've just got a feeling. I'm not sure what it is. You know, it's a very attacker-sided map, and I'm not sure how much of that we will see when we come around to best of threes and that sort of thing. I think it's been nice to see Bank back in, but there's certainly a question mark over how attacker-sided it is. So that could have been another reason why FaZe have just gone, yeah, we'll play you on that because we're not looking to play it any further into the competition. But I guess we could maybe ask cameraman that in terms of that. But I think it was certainly a good map, as you say, for FaZe to go out there and get a confidence boost. Team One, a team that have done very well on that map recently, and FaZe can come out and just do a little bit better today.
All right, I believe we do have cameraman standing by ready. We can have a chat and maybe get some perspective on exactly how FaZe are feeling after that 8-7. So let's bring cameraman in. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us, cameraman, and congratulations on the win. Obviously, very close, 8-7. Talk to us about fighting. Talk to us about playing on Bank and your thoughts on that map at this stage. Obviously, it went right down to the wire.
It's really exciting to play map for the first time. It's been a long time we haven't played Bank since it has came out in the poll. But yeah, it's really weird to play a first map because like you can do good in practice and have a bad map, let's say. So that just proves us that we have a pretty solid Bank, and of course, it's good to play a new map in a Playday because you can learn new stuff. You can improve things that you thought that were good, and it's like an open school. It's just learning everywhere. So yeah, T1 has a really good map, and we learned a lot of things. We had in practice, we had really good CEO defense, and today we lost all defense CEO, and that's the thing of new map. You just keep learning stuff and try to improve and get better for next time.
Well, cameraman, I think you shouldn't really beat yourself up too much about losing CEO on the defense, because everyone so far loses CEO on the defense. It's one of the most attacker-sided sites that we've seen. I wanted to ask you a question a bit more specifically about the last round. Astro, he played the Monty. Were you guys expecting to go downstairs, given that Team One went on to that top 4? They went on to CEO. Nobody had won it all map on the defense. Was that a bit of a sort of bait pick for you guys? Was the Monty part of the reason you guys thought you were going downstairs?
It was a bit of lucky. We won that round because we thought that would be basement defense. So we
thought
got
that.
the mountain. Yeah. So when we saw, and I don't know if you guys seen that, but we lost every single drone that we had in attack in the preparation phase, and we didn't even spot the bomb. So we didn't know where the bomb sites were. And yeah, the round started really bad for us, but I don't know. I was just changing my roles and going everywhere I thought would be good, and I did a good impact doing this lurker stuff in attack, in my opinion. And Astro played really good Mounty today for the haters. Suck that. And yeah, that's it. We trust a lot in Astro Mountain. He changed the pace a lot in the attack because I IGL the most here, but when he plays Mounty, he's more like an IGL because I stay outside the play and he kind of talks what he needs and gets the round going. And yeah, it was a good map. Very good adaptations. We banned Knock today. Nuke, I don't know how you guys say, but we knew that Alemão was gonna use a lot that, and that it's really boring to counter even a map like that. They're a huge map, can go all around, and yeah.
I mean, that was actually kind of what I was going to ask about. Is one of the things that we noticed in this game. It seemed like you guys had really studied the way that Team One liked to play, especially against MIBR. Not only with the Nook ban, but also you guys bringing Zero a lot, for example. You knew that you were going to need that information because if you didn't have it, then someone like Alamau or someone like KDS was going to use that space and then use it against you. How much homework specifically did you do onto the way that Team One play this map?
As I said in the last game, our homework, my homework mostly, because like their homeworks is just pre-game or if we have a tactical practice in a day, but mostly it's dark stuff, the analysis part. As I said, like the last interview, yesterday I came back home too and like watch a series with my girlfriend, and like when she went sleep, I just read all the stuff that Dark did, and everything was there in the game. So it's pretty good analysis, and if you go to sleep thinking about that analysis, I think it's easier for the next day. So that's what happened. In my opinion, I had good readings today because of Dark. Thank you, Dark.
Well, in any case, mate, congratulations. Well done on the win, clutching it out there at 8-7 in overtime. And yes, well done, mate. Congratulations to the team.
Thank you. See you next time.
Thanks so much, cameraman. And no, he's done. He's out of here. See you later. That's it. Alrighty, well, that is that for our I guess our headline act really for today. That was obviously the match that we were looking forward to. We knew that it was going to be a real blockbuster, and it certainly was. Team One ultimately going down to FaZe 8-7, but it was a spirited performance from Team One, from both teams really, and there's a good reason that the two teams are at the top table. Right now, it looks like we're going to take a quick break. We're going to get set up for our fourth and final match of Playday 7 here for Stage 3 of the BR6. And it's been great to have your company. We do hope you'll stick around as we see Black Dragons versus W7M. These are teams that are desperate for some wins, and I'm sure they're going to be scrapping hard for them. So we're going to take a quick break, get everything ready for the next round, and then we'll be back after